They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Dead Dare, a horror podcast.
Brought to you by Big Baby Studios.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dead Air, a horror podcast. Before we begin this episode, I'd like to invite everyone to join our Facebook group, Dead Air. And over there, you can meet a wonderful community of people who talk about all kinds of things horror related. So we can talk about books, we can talk about shows, we can talk about films. Just join our group and everyone will be really nice and accommodating. We also have a Facebook page that you can join, Dead Air, a horror podcast, and an Instagram that you can follow at Dead Air Pod. Over there on Instagram, you can give any suggestions that you want of movies or guests that you want us to have on the show. And they will reply because that is Chris. So as if it's me or Miguel, no one's going to reply, but it's Chris, so he's going to reply. So make sure to message us on our Instagram. So we're going to be introducing ourselves as hosts first. So I'm Aaron, and I'm the one in this podcast who loves horror because of the thrill that it gives. So I love watching horror films with friends and family and watching them scream and all the jump scares. I really, really enjoy that. And here we have our other two hosts.
I'm Miguel. I'm the scaredy cat. I'm the one who loves movies but who is horror movie averse. But that sort of changed over the pandemic too.
Yay!
Yay! And I am Chris. I am the horror obsessive. And one thing about me is that I am actually married to another scaredy cat. So that's so yeah, that's us.
Yes, and today is a super, super special episode because if you watched our top horror movie, if you listened to our top horror movie podcast episode, we actually have the creators of our number one for 2022. So, ladies and gentlemen, with us today, we have John Adams and Toby Poser, who are two of the four members of the Adams family. They wrote and acted and directed and edited and scored this movie and all their other films, including this number one film that we had for last year on Dead Air. Ladies and gentlemen, we have John and Toby. Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
It is such a massive honor to have you on.
Okay.
Well, it's a massive honor that you guys gave us the number one slot. That's incredible. That's so wonderful of you.
Yeah, we really loved it. I'm sure things have been busy for you guys since the movie's release. Can you tell us what you've been up to?
Yeah, well, actually, since Hellbender entered the public eye, we've made another film called Where the Devil Roams, which we're super excited about and we can't wait to tell you all about. And then we just got back from Serbia where we shot another film, which was our first collaboration with others, and that was called Hellhole. So we've been busy.
Wow. We have two films to Wow, that's awesome. So excited to see that.
Yeah,
it's fun actually because I mean, what's cool about it is Where the Devil Roams is completed. It's in the cans, been edited, and that's the movie that we made as just the Addams family, the four of us: Lulu, Zelda, Toby, and me. And then the other one, we were approached by Shudder, who actually bought Hellbender, and they said, "Hey, do you have any ideas that you want to do through them?" And we did. We had a movie that there was no way we could accomplish by ourselves because it was a monster movie. And so we pitched them a monster movie, and they were like, "Great, let's make it." We were like,
"Fantastic!
Great, let's do that.
Let's write a script really fast."
Yeah, right. And that's funny. We had said, They said, "Do you have any finished scripts?" We're like, "Yeah, we got finished scripts." And then they said, "Great, we'll take that monster movie," and we were like, "Okay." And they said, "Send the script over." We're like, how about 2 weeks?
Filmmakers, they're just like us.
let us polish.
Exactly. I mean, right.
Personally, I'm so fascinated by the fact that all four of you got into filmmaking. Can you let us know a little bit about how you started? And also, your children are quite young, so it's really interesting that the four of you work together.
Yeah, well, in 2010, the girls were 6 and 11 years old, and we just decided we were going to take off for a year and homeschool our kids on the road and make our first movie, and we did. That was called Rumble Strips, and we just fell in love, and it was kind of beautiful because we had no. It's great when you can jump into something without knowing anything, because then you just go in. You're like a baby. You're a big baby, to use your. And all good things happen to big babies because everything's just so new and you can only learn. So we just were hooked. And so that's how we got into making movies. We made 4 dramas. And then by the 5th movie, we stepped into the horror genre. And again, we were just sold, you know?
Yeah.
I think this is
that.
the perfect time to segue into our favorite question, Aaron. What do you think?
Yes. So what is your horror origin? How did you get into it?
I know my answer is when I was a kid, my soccer coach decided to take me and the other striker to a horror movie. And so he took us to see Phantasm.
Wait, how old were you?
I was 11. And it scared the living crap out of me. Like, I didn't sleep for a year, and I did not like horror movies, and it was devastating for me. That silver ball going through that hall was something, and the big man were 2 things that I literally really changed my life because I didn't sleep like for a year. I was so terrified, and so that's my origin story. Is yes, I was a huge big baby because it scared the living crap out of me. What's your story?
You know,
Origin, yeah.
When I was maybe 13, I went to visit a friend in New Jersey, and her mom thought that we were going to go to see some Disney movie or Disney-like movie. I don't know what Disney was up to those days, but this would have been the early 80s, and we went to see Sleepaway Camp. So the taboo of like, oh my God, we're going to sneak into something like really bad. And then it like freaked the fuck out of us, you know? And so that was a good one.
That's the farthest thing from a Disney movie.
Yep.
My God, that ending is one of the scariest shots I've seen. That the reveal at the end of Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Chris, you know both movies?
Yeah, Miguel and I. Give me 5, Miguel. We don't know.
I have not seen those 2 movies, but amazing. Chris, you know. All right.
You've never seen Phantasm? Have you never seen Phantasm?
I have not. This came out. I just did a quick Google. This came out the year I was born, and I guess I missed it. I'll get back to it.
I had to go re-look at it because I was like, okay, I got to figure out why I was so traumatized. And I went back and watched it, and I was actually really surprised at how well done it was and how well shot it was. And then I read about it, and it's interesting because it was an independent movie from the time. The guy who directed it borrowed the money and filmed his friends. And I was like, oh, wow, that's so interesting that a movie like that affected me so much is kind of the model about how we make movies. So we don't borrow money. We spend our own money, but that was an independent movie that somebody made because they wanted to. That was really cool. It was great to read about it.
So, wait, sorry, did you realize that after you started making your own movies, or was that something that was the model for how you wanted to make your movies also?
No, that's why it was really interesting because later, like I only just rewatched it like 6 months ago. And then after I watched it, I was like, wow, it's actually really good. I thought it was going to be really bad. I thought, it's so cheesy, but I was like, wow, it's very, 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 very well done. And then I read about it and realized, man, this is a guy who back in the 70s borrowed a bunch of money and did it all by himself outside of Hollywood. And it was a smashing success at the time. And I didn't know all that beforehand.
Amazing.
And you said you jumped into it knowing nothing, right? But when I watched Hellbender, I watched it with my mom, and everything about it, we were just like, wow, this shot is so nice.
I know.
Wow. And then we read the credits, and it's the 4 of you. So did you have to study, or it was just so visually amazing.
No, we've been making them for a little, at this point, we'd made a bunch of features. So every time we make a film, we feel a little more at ease and we learn more. And then we want to jump into the next one to use what we've learned. So we never the paint never dries, before we're kind of onto the next idea. But what's cool working with your family is you get to kind of do it on your own time, and your life and your art become very much one and the same thing, because you'll be having like eating a spaghetti meal, and then if a half hour later the light looks so beautiful outside, you can go outside and shoot. And we travel so lightly. We only have a camera and 2 mics and a tripod, and sometimes we don't even use a tripod. So it's just very the way we work is really organic, and it's really, really fun.
Yeah, Hellbender was a great movie to make because it was me, Toby, and Zelda living in a trailer for half of it. And we were driving around, and if the fog rolled in on a mountain, we could literally stop the trailer, get out, and be filming in 20 minutes. If we saw a forest that was filled with moss, and it was like we could move so quickly. And the 3 of us, Lulu wasn't with us, living with us, but we eventually drove out to be with her so she could be in the film too. But the 3 of us were just moving so in tandem together that we were really able to move fast and really allow nature to inform us when nature wanted to be filmed.
Yeah.
And that's what's really beautiful about working as a family is something like nature can be involved because you don't need 50 people to move. You got 3 people that have to move together. And so it's a really exciting way to make movies.
I have a question about the kids, Chris, if I can just quickly
yes,
jump
please,
in.
go ahead.
How much of it are they into it? Like, are they really, really into it? Is this something like you sort of have to talk them into, or are they like totally game for making the filmmaking process?
That's a great question. Zelda, it's funny, when we first started making films, Lulu wanted to be an actress. So you can watch YouTube videos. Actually, our very first YouTube video was when we had decided we wanted to make a movie, and we posted questions about what to do. And you can see that Lulu is running the show. Like, she was the boss. She wanted to be an actress. She wanted to film. She wanted to do, she was just like, just loved this idea of making movies. And Zelda was just kind of bumping along. She was 6 years old. So she was like, hey, I'll do whatever these guys do. But very quickly, it became apparent that Zelda was, in fact, the one that loved the process of filmmaking. And Lulu, much to like her credit, had decided after our first movie, she was kind of like, it's fun, but I'll help you guys, but I don't really want to do a lot. You guys, I'll help you if you need me, but I don't want to do it. I want to play soccer. I got other shit I want to do. And we were like, great. And Zelda became very, very into it. So the answer to that is, and now it's funny because Lulu wrote our latest script. So things are kind of circular, and now Zelda is kind of off to college and talking about college stuff. And our rule is always you never make anybody do anything. It's kind of like, hey, we're going to show up at the middle of the field at 12 o'clock. Anybody who wants to play, show up at 12. That's cool. And now Lulu's coming around and wanting to do more, and so now she's really getting film obsessed. So we're working, on a couple things with her now. So it's really cool. Just letting the girls just do whatever the hell they want to,
That's awesome. So so it's cyclical, just kind of like the themes of Hellbender.
There you go.
So I want to piggyback off of Miguel's question, right?
Sure.
So my question is basically like how, like I know a lot of the dialogue was improv. You said that you were shooting, because you saw a forest with nice moss and everything, and you shoot around it. So how different was it from what you originally envisioned to like the final product? Like how what do you feel about that? Like,
that's a super cool question. Before Hellbender the movie, there was Hellbender our band, but all the H6s, and we'd been shooting a music video a couple years ago for Hellbender the band, and it just immediately it was like we were possessed. We had no idea what was going on, that we were shooting all these witchy themes and these gnarly trees and these kind of witch-like black-clad figures. And so that kind of helped jumpstart Hellbender the film, because we thought, okay, well, let's really explore what the concept of this Hellbender is. What is a fucking Hellbender? You know, and we started creating our mythology for that. So in a way, we really, I'll speak for myself, I don't think we didn't have a script. We didn't have, I didn't have any kind of full vision. It just started to unfurl before us. But starting with these kind of themes that we discovered and technical, really cool stuff that we discovered making that music video too. So yeah, just the themes were there, but I don't think I could have imagined where it would end up, because it was literally a day-to-day exploration, which was really fun.
Is everybody in the band, all four of you? Like in the movie, it's just, yeah. Oh, great.
I had such a hard time searching for the soundtrack on Spotify, because I didn't realize it was 666, and then so I was like, Hellbender, like I can't find, like, but I know that the vinyl is out. I was like, how can I find
There's
it?
a vinyl out?
Yeah, dude.
Right.
So yeah. And I finally found it, and I was like, of course. I mean, it's 666. So I mean, then yeah.
Well, it's funny.
It's on repeat. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
But originally the movie was called Hellbender with the Sixes, because we'd always been Hellbender with the Sixes. But as you probably noticed, it's a little hard to type in Hellbender. All sixes. You have to change the keyboard settings and go through it. It takes a long time. And the people that our sales agent was like, guys, you're going to hate us, but we really think that you should just go Hellbender. Because it's too hard to search for. And at first we were like, nope, got to have 666. And then it's like, you know what? Maybe they're right. Let's try it without it. And we're really glad they did, because it worked very well. And in the end, it separates the band from the movie too, because the band's going to continue on.
Right.
And so actually, it's just, again, one of those things that happened that turns out that we're very glad happened.
Yeah.
When did the band start?
Well, I've always been in bands. The girls, since they were born, because I was in punk rock bands, always kind of thought that was cool. So basically the band really started when Lulu was 4 or 5 and she wanted to be in a band. And so her and I had a band called the Hot Roses. And it was awesome but Lulu is a wildly, stubbornly beautiful person who never wanted to write lyrics or never practiced or anything like that. So the rule was we would book these shows and this little kid would get on stage and I would just play music and she would just open her mouth and shit would come out. And you don't know what it was. It could be anything. And it was super punk rock because it was so dangerous. And people loved it because here's this little kid. And so for a couple years, Lulu and I would do these hilarious shows. And Lulu was really good at it. And somebody watched us and said, can we make a documentary about you? And we asked Lulu, do you want to do a documentary about us? And she was like, yeah. And so we filmed one episode kind of, and then she fell in love with, and I think Lulu was 6 or 7 at this time, maybe 6. And she loved the cameraman because he was French. And it was like, what was going on? And then they came back to film again and the French guy wasn't there. And she got so angry, she quit the band.
Oh.
It was amazing. That's what was beautiful. It's like we've always encouraged our kids to be punks, and that was pretty punk. The whole thing was absolutely punk. Where Lulu also didn't like that the crowd was, what did she say? Weird?
Yeah. She thought that they were a bunch of weirdos.
She was like, the crowds were. Yeah, they were. It was my friends. So it was like, Dad, they're all just so weird, It was like, and so she quit, and it was great. And then Zelda, once she saw the opening, Zelda was like, well, I want to be in a band. So we changed the band's name from the Hot Roses to Kid California. And then we became a band. So we've always been having fun together.
That's awesome.
That's so cute.
So like when I discovered the film, right? It was because I just troll through a lot of horror blogs on Reddit or whatever. then like I just kept seeing like Hellbender in a bunch of like lists, and I was like, okay, let's check it out. So I had no idea what it was about at all. I started the movie, and then like I was like, oh, so I guess this is a period piece, and then suddenly it's like this quick cut to like this fucking punk rock, like heavy metal, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so in. And then like it was that cut to that. I was like, oh my god, this is something different, and that was a hook for me. Was immediately that scene.
Felt the same. I was messaging my friend while the movie was starting, and I was just like, yo, first 10 seconds, I'm sold. You gotta see this. You gotta see this.
No, because we were talking about this, Chris. Like the first few minutes of the movie, it shows you 3 different things in like the span of like, and like, wow, I gotta sit down for this and like really pay attention, and then got taken for a ride. Yeah.
Well, that's really great of all of you to say. You know, we wanted to. The movie that we had done previously was called The Deeper You Dig, and we loved making The Deeper You Dig. But it's a hard, brutal movie. It's a very hard, brutal movie, and though it's funny to us, it might not be funny to other people. And one of the things that we wanted to have in Hellbender was fun. Like we wanted people to actively have fun. And one of the best ways to do that was to bring our band into it, and because music is fun, and the girls playing together is fun, and we have fun when we do the band, and we're really glad we did. We kept that element in the movie, and I think people enjoy it, and we enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. And we enjoyed it.
Like, how do I even like describe? Like, it's like a tender coming of age movie, and then
that's a great question. Yeah, why don't we do that, Miguel?
Which one?
Maybe do you think you guys could, for our listeners who have not seen the film, how would you give us a quick synopsis of Hellbender?
Sure. Yeah, Hellbender is about a teenager, Izzy, who's been isolated in the woods by her mother. They live on this mountaintop playing their rock band music for nobody but themselves. And the daughter comes to realize that she comes from a long legacy of hellbenders, which are what we would call a cross between a demon, a witch, and an apex predator. And so they're these supernatural creatures. So she's coming into her own and realizing, hey, I don't want to be deprived of my legacy of a bloodthirsty hellbender, Mom. So move over.
Perfect.
Super. Yeah.
You know what? I jumped into it with not knowing the synopsis at all.
Yeah.
So I really wonder how people, come into it like knowing. Hearing about it. That would be really fun. Because here in the Philippines we have very limited access to a lot of indie releases and stuff. Honestly, the only reason we got to see this film is because we have access to Shudder. And I would love to watch your earlier stuff. I've been on your Instagram, always messaging you guys. Are you guys going to come out with a Blu-ray? Because you have you have a Hellbender on DVD, but I would love a Blu-ray copy.
So would we. That we actually hope that might happen still. Actually, our previous film, The Deeper You Dig, has a Blu-ray from Arrow, which makes incredible Blu-ray. Their artists are unbelievable. So that kind of really put the taste of blood in our mouth, and we would like that for Hellbender too. So.
And another interesting thing about that Blu-ray on Arrow is that they included our very first horror movie, which we could have also answered in the Horigin question.
That's good.
That's a good. We're going to use that. We're going to steal that.
We're going to be calling that. That's what it's called from now on.
Yeah. Our first movie was something that Zelda and I were driving to soccer practice. Toby was writing a script, so Zelda and I were a little bored on the movie front. We weren't doing anything because we were waiting for Toby. And Zelda said, why don't we make a little horror movie just to tide us over for the winter? And I was like, oh my God, that'd be a great idea. Would you got any ideas? And she said, I don't know. I just want to do a movie where I kill a bunch of grown men. And I was like, wow, that's great. I got a bunch of friends that we can kill. And so we made a movie called The Hatred that really set the stage for where we are today. And So that's kind of interesting about that about the Arrow DVD is it includes that little movie that's only 59 minutes long, and it was our foray into horror.
And I love that all your friends jump into it as well. I saw, okay, so my mom and I looked at an article and they gave a figure of how much you spent on Hellbender, but I'm sure it's wrong. So I want to ask how much you actually spent, because I know that the cast and crew, like, you knew most of them.
It was mostly them also.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't spend much at all.
Because the article said $1 something, but I was like, nah, it can't.
Not
Come on.
$1.
Oh no, we
No.
spent $14,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So that figure was definitely wrong.
Yeah, we spent $14,000, and it's funny because we learned from our other movie, The Deeper You Dig, that like you never want to make your budget public before you sell you sell a movie, because then when someone comes to buy the movie, they will offer you $15,000.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, a profit. We'll take it.
That's the dollar comes in.
They would have offered you $2.
Exactly. We'll give you $2 and we doubled our money.
Perfect. Chris, I have a question if I can jump in. So,
Please.
you guys, it's obvious that you guys super love the process of filmmaking. Do you have ambitions of making all these big budgeted horror films? Are you very happy to keep it independent and small and just really well crafted? What are your ambitions with filmmaking or horror movies also?
I have to say, I love how we make films. That doesn't mean that there's not room or judgment for making bigger ones. We just came from Serbia, where we shot a film where we collaborated with others, and they put the money up, and it was a much bigger budget than we're used to working with.
Right.
And that was thrilling and super exciting. But it doesn't change the fact that I really love the way we work.
Yeah.
Even though that it will evolve too, as now both of our girls are out of the house. I think it will always evolve, but hopefully it'll evolve around the same dynamic where we kind of just work in a very intimate fashion and wear a lot of different hats. And I kind of love it.
Also, what we've learned about filmmaking is that we have a formula that some people really love because Hollywood can't do it.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say our movies are like better or anything like that, but they're like, if there's a mist on the mountain, we can get out of the van and jump in the mist and shoot the scene. And we can move like that fast in 20 minutes. We can be moving. Hollywood cannot do that. They have to plan everything out. They have to buy a mist machine. They have to pay for the lightings. They have to do a lot of things. And we're really coming to understand that there's this beautiful advantage of how we make films. And we're also so thankful that there's an audience out there that enjoys it.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be the blockbuster audience that's going to go to Friday the 13th, which we love going to Friday the 13th. Of course, yeah. But there are enough people out there that all of us together get to enjoy this process. And we are thankful about that. And Toby and I have talked a lot about it. And we're at a place where we're not really after fame and money. We're after like kind of joyful living. Right. And doing joyful art, And so right now we feel like we're super lucky that we're going to just make a bunch of, these.
Oh man. Yeah. We're super lucky that you are making them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm curious for the both of you, though, what is your favorite hat to wear? Because you wear so many of it. So what do you enjoy the most?
I love, even though we don't generally work with full scripts, I really love writing. I mean, I love just having sort of a template to jump off of going into a scene. I love thinking about how writing within the writing process, or at least the outlining process, I love thinking about how little moments connect with each other. Like I feel like a spider when we're making a film, because I love to kind of sew the little threads that piece together the web. And I love seeing how that all comes together. Those tiny little threads are so important for me, even if there are moments that some or many audience members might not even notice. For me, it's something that I love putting a lot of thought and heart, especially heart, into. So that's my favorite part.
I love that Toby just said that. And this is why I think it's so fun to work with Toby, is she's great at understanding the spider web. And I love each individual thread, trying to make it look as beautiful or as horrific or as brutal as possible. And so it's fun setting up shots because, and a lot of the time I'll be setting up, oh my God, this tree looks great. And now it's got blood on it. And there's a hand nailed to the tree and it's really great. And then I turn to Toby and I'm like, wait, what's the scene about again? And Toby will explain it. And so it's really great because I love the parts and she loves the body.
Fantastic. What do you think your kids feel about that question?
Oh, great.
If you were to guess.
Nailing the questions today. These are all fun questions.
Zelda is very visual as well. She loves the camera. And she began using it pretty early. And so she loves shooting. She brought more motion into our films because our films were very kind of static. And she said, come on, you guys, we've got to have a little motion. And it started with just the tripod going, and, but then our tripods always break. So then we thought, now let's get a gimbal, like a small Steadicam. Yeah. She loved using that. And then she was like, now let's get a drone. So she's really brought movement into the visuals of our film. And that was really cool.
Yeah, and she has wonderful visual taste. Like Zelda's cinematography is singular, and it's really fun to work with her. So I have a certain cinematography. I like setting things up a certain way, and then she loves setting things up a certain way. And then again, the advantage of shooting like as a family is we do it two ways. It really doesn't matter. We have the time, we have the ability. So it's really fun like that. Lulu is a great workhorse. She loves, she's been in our last two movies now. She played really a huge role in Where the Devil Roams, which is now finished. She is just an incredible worker. She helped me build all the sets. Her acting was phenomenal. And she's I think what she really loves is the process of making it all happen, like getting it all to come together. She's a really, I don't know what the name of that is, but
she's also super athletic and strong and daring. So, for instance, on our third film, we shot in Death Valley in California, deep in the desert. And if you wanted to get a shot from up above, you could say, Lulu, and she was 13 years old at the time. Lulu, can you climb up to that ridge and shoot this? And she'd be like, sure. And she'd just scramble up with the camera. She'd set it up and she'd shoot it when nobody else wanted to go up that ridge.
Yeah. We have a very funny story where we actually had someone who was going to help with the camera on this particular job. And I said, hey, could you climb up to that cliff right there and shoot down? And he's like, no, I think that. And I was like, Lulu. In 5 minutes, Lulu was up there like this, Dad, is this right? And so she's an intrepid soul that you definitely want on your team, whether it's a soccer team or whether it's a filmmaking team.
Yeah, in Hellbender, she plays Amber. She's the blonde, and Amber, and well, not to give anything away, but we wanted to. It was a very cold, wet night when we did horrible things to her, and she was so tough and so game. Not only twice, actually. There's the scene on the ocean. Where she's where she's lying on a banquet table, and we shot that in the ocean, and this massive wave came in, and all of us ran with the camera and everything, and Lulu's floating away on the table. You can hear her laughing the whole time. Literally, she's out to sea.
She's just a tough kid.
Yeah. How does your dynamic change as a family when you're in filmmaker mode?
Or is it pretty much the same as your tone now? Right? Yeah,
it's the same.
It's a cool question. Yeah, it really is the same.
Well, it is the same, but everybody understands at this point that when you're making a film, you want to keep it as simple and economic as possible. Mm-hmm. So that we do keep our family dynamic. We're all having laughs, but everyone understands what each of us needs to do, and we don't really interfere with each other. So I think we're all pretty economic when it comes to shooting because we all know like the light's going to change, a cloud's going to come, a wave's going to come. So it's like once we're shooting, everyone is a great little unit.
Yeah, and we all kind of take it very seriously, even though we're having fun. It's not, like when we're on other sets, there can be a lot of quiet on the set, be quiet,
Yeah.
And it's like at our place, you never really have to say that because we're all kind of there in it. Everyone's just living it, and we take it very seriously. And just by proxy, I think the people who are shooting with us take it seriously, and they kind of easily step into feeling very professional, like they're in professional mode too. So, but then when the shot's done, we're all laughing again.
Yeah.
Without knowing about the exact process of how you created Hellbender, I am assuming that COVID played a big part in it, in shaping not only the story but how you shot it as well. Am I right in that sense?
Yeah. We had planned a much bigger production. It was going to take place at a school with tons of students and extras. And then COVID happened. In fact, that prologue, the period prologue in the woods where they're hanging the witch, that was 2 days before the lockdown. We shot that. And so,
wow.
But it ended up being, I mean, COVID isn't a good thing at all. But for us, it did bring us down to our small roots, which was a good thing because I'm not sure we've been ready to shoot this big production and, at a school. And it made it much more intimate, which is, I think, how we work well.
It worked out really well for the story.
Absolutely. Yeah, I 100% feel that the film really shines because of how intimate it is.
It would have been very different if it was like shot.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
100%.
I wanted to ask a little bit about the writing process because Toby mentioned that she's like a spider web and she gets to connect all these things. The lore you came up with was amazing.
Yes.
Everything from like the maggots being death and fear and all of that. How long did it take you to come up with that?
That's so cool. Nobody ever talks about the maggots and the symbolism. I love that, Aaron, that you did that. Thanks. We have so much fun coming up with the mythology for our films. I mean, for our genre films, including the one we just finished where the devil roams, there's this running like theme of just for us, as far as production goes, of what can we create here? Like we're inspired by other lore and mythology, but what can we create here that feels original and just comes? I always say that we kind of put on our 5-year-old heads because 5-year-olds are so imaginative and they can make everything with nothing. With mud or sticks, one ball and snot. They can do everything with nothing. And so we love being imaginative in that sense. And so that's what we did. We were inspired by some things like Kali the Destroyer, Lamia, the Libyan serpent goddess, Lilith, of course. But we just kind of used those women to kind of juice us up and come up with this Hellbender, was something we just eventually came to on our own. And nature has a big thing to do with that because we live in the woods. We're surrounded by nature. Nature, whether it's a maggot or a coyote or just the death and life and trees and the rebirth from seeds. There's so much inspiration there. So nature played a big part of it.
I love that.
Please stop me if I'm overreading, okay? But I felt that the film was so tight with its metaphors and it's it started off with the worm and then you say that the Hellbender is an apex predator. The worm is probably the weakest, and then you have the maggots and then this is where I'm maybe I'm overreading, but at the climax. There's that. It's like a worm-like tunnel. It's like it's like a void, and then I don't know. I'm assuming that kind of symbolizes birth and death at the same time, or So that's a.
They're nodding. You're not overreading.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
We always want people to talk about that tunnel, and very rarely do they. So we're both like, yes, let's go there.
Yeah, the tunnel's a great metaphor, a really fun metaphor. And what's fun about that tunnel is it can be and serve as a variety of metaphors, all that play into the story of that we're telling. So it's a wicked little image, you know.
Also about like what I feel about like the storytelling was so tight, and then visual imagery was so tight. I totally picked up immediately on like the shift in the power dynamic when you have the repeated shot of the staircase where Izzy and then Toby, it's like they shift from when Mother is on top, and then suddenly later on Izzy's on top, and so that's why.
And Zelda and I love that shit. Like, we love that. Like, we're always being like, when we need to get a stair shot, because we need to have Toby to be on top of the stairs, and then we got to flip it so that Zelda's on. It's like we love that stuff. That is so fun, and I think you are also the first person who's mentioned that is a conversation that Zelda and I have so many times about the cinematography and the power dynamic. And so how do you frame people to show the shifts in power? So that's really cool.
That is so cool. Yeah. I'm so glad.
You're the first person who's mentioned, especially the stairs, which were so important to us.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm going to put that on my gravestone.
Hey, we're always making a new film and look for people to kill.
Right.
We'll fly you over.
All three of us
willing to die.
Willing to die for the Addams family.
That's so awesome, guys. Well,
sorry, one more question, Aaron.
Yeah.
We're just like jumping in with our questions. Like, like the whole mother-daughter thing, is that which is a great sort of anchor and theme for the movie. Is it also because, and again, if we're overreading, just let us know, is it also because your daughters are getting older and they're coming of age, and you feel that that's something that you want to touch on in your personal life that's happening in your personal life that you want to touch on with your films also?
100%. Like our movies, what's beautiful about making horror is you're allowed to artistically show things that are really happening in your life. All of our movies are about families, and they all are just a reflection of where this family is at the moment. The Deeper You Dig was, if you watch that, you'll see it's a reflection of a certain age of parents and a certain age of children and the things that we're scared of. This is exactly the same. Hellbender is a movie about the fear of your daughter becoming a woman. She's becoming a woman. She's stepping into that same phase that you're in. And it's terrifying in a lot of ways. And it's beautiful in a lot of ways. And it's also true independence. And that's what Hellbender is about, is this child becoming a woman and saying, now I'm going to be completely independent and I'm going to make different choices than you're going to make.
Yeah.
And parents are terrified of that stuff. It's like parenting is hard. That's why parents lie sometimes. They don't necessarily lie because they're bad. Yeah. They lie because they're scared.
Yeah.
They lie because they don't want their children to make the same mistakes they have, and they think lying is going to save the children from those mistakes. But it doesn't. It only makes those mistakes like hit harder. And we just wanted to touch on all those themes of parenting and watching your child, who is now a woman that we're going to be having dinner with tonight, because we're in the city seeing her, and it's so exciting. But she rolls in, and there she is. She's a woman. She's not a 14-year-old kid anymore. And so, our next movie, Where the Devil Roams, takes on a whole nother aspect of family, which is the idea of your parents falling apart, like watching your parents fall apart because of old age. And what do you do as a child? How do you keep them together, or should you keep them together? They're all terrifying things that every single one of us goes through. We all look at our parents and say, like, wow, they're getting old, and do I feel sorry for them, or do I feel happy for them, or do I try to keep them together, or do I protect them, or do I not protect them? It's like, and there's all these terrifying questions. And that's what's great about horror movies, is you can artistically challenge people to watch those subjects.
I have a two-part question, if you may allow me. First of all, you talked about the whole. Actually, what I really wanted to delve into is I saw a little bit of a Carrie influence in Hellbender. The whole mother-daughter dynamic. There's like the religious aspect, religion being, for Hellbender, it's the witchcraft, if it is witchcraft, and then in Carrie, it's the I think it was Catholicism, but and the suppression of that, and then a mother suppressing a daughter's like potential. Is that on purpose, or was a purposeful influence? And then my second part is, if not, please tell us your actual influences, as horror influences, directors, films, whatever.
Great.
Yeah, it was not a purposeful homage or inspiration from Carrie. Although I know Zelda, I think that's the first horror film Zelda ever saw. I showed it to her when she was maybe third grade. I was like, are you ready?
Well, I guess we know what her origin story was.
That is so true. Yeah, so no, not, it wasn't, I'll tell you, a big influence actually was something that happened to me, because shortly before we began shooting, I discovered that I was donor conceived. And I learned this at 50 years old, that my dad, that I grew up, that I thought was my dad for 50 years, was not my biological dad. That I was actually, donor conceived. And I discovered I have this big family of half siblings and everything. But until I discovered them, there was this question of, who the fuck is my dad? And what if he's some lunatic? What if he's an axe murderer? What if he's just something, totally that you would hate to be associated with? And that kind of got it kind of oiled the cogs in our brains. And so at first we thought, what if your father was the devil? And it kind of jumped off from there. And then we realized, let's just play on this Hellbender, concept, and let's make our own, let's not worry about the devil, and let's make our own hellish kind of creature.
Yeah, we started out, actually, this was going to be called The Devil's Daughter. And we even started kind of filming a little bit, goofing on, because that's what we do. We kind of film and see how it feels. And very quickly we realized, oh my God, the devil is way too huge to tackle. The Addams family ain't going to tackle the devil. So we were like, well, let's just tackle a little percentage of the devil, 66.6 instead of 666, Cool. So, the Hellbenders are just a little slice of the devil instead of the whole devil.
Wow. That's incredible. So I guess that's where because there's kind of there's a Rapunzel aspect of the film. There's the nature versus nurture kind of thing. I guess that's what is that a big part of?
You guys are so smart.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. And that was fun to see when we met Toby's siblings, because it was like, oh, this is going to be so amazing when we meet her brothers and sisters, to find out whether Toby's a nature or a nurture.
Wow. Yeah.
And actually the answer for that was, it's a nature. All of her brothers and sisters are the nicest people.
Oh.
Yes.
Can I just say that not a lot of people get to process their family via filmmaking, and you guys do that a lot. And that's really cool. That's a pretty cool way to process your upbringing and, how you grow as a family. Other people get therapy or fight it out. But you guys make movies, and that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
I guess filmmaking is a therapy. That's interesting.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
Well, it's true. A lot of our shit's right out there on film. Sometimes I'm really glad that people still haven't picked up on some of the things. But it's it is pretty funny. All of our shit's just right out there.
Okay, so we talked about influences. I guess how about stuff? We always say that 2022 was an incredible year for horror. Have you seen a bunch, or and if you have, what are the standouts for you?
Oh, you're probably going to say the same thing I am.
Go ahead then.
Are you going to say The Innocents?
Yeah.
Yeah, we both love the.
I haven't seen that yet.
Norwegian. I think it's Norwegian.
Yes, the Norwegian.
Film, The Innocents.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm gonna Google
That
this.
is
Okay,
perfect movie for me.
has anyone seen it?
not yet. No.
Oh my god. Yeah, I
I
mean
have
it's
to
It's all
find a copy.
children.
Yeah, it's the
exactly.
children. It's about the children. Yeah.
Oh my god. What a
We
good
watched that and it was perfect. I have to say I did just watch Pearl and I loved it for an entirely different reason. It was just a fun, entertaining, funny, fun brutality movie too. There's just been, you know what? You could kind of go on and on and on. This year has been exceptional
It really
for
has.
horror movies. Like
Watcher.
The
is
Sadness was a wonderful movie.
Watcher and Sadness. Wow, both incredible. Yeah.
great. Yeah. Watcher really got under my skin. I mean, as I don't feel like films get under my skin that much. I can pretty much watch anything. Like The Sadness. I mean, talk about a brutal film, but something about Watcher, which is so still. I mean, I don't know if it's like I was going to say as a woman, but I mean, it just got under my skin for a week. I was creeped out by it and scared. Every time I look out a window, I'm going to think of that movie. I mean, it was phenomenal.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed both of those films for totally different reasons. Those are like polar opposites, by the way. The Sadness and Watcher. Yeah.
Yeah, The Sadness turned us on because of its just exceptional violence. Like we were like, wow, it's just so violent. It was me and Zelda watched it together, and we were like, we need more violence because it's so well done. It was also like, anyway.
Is there any kind of horror film that turns you off? Like, okay, I can't watch this. Anything like that.
Yeah, I'll speak for myself. I'm not. It's funny though because I just spoke about The Sadness, but they do a twist on this. I'm not big on like rape horror. Like I just can't. Like I just can't. I just don't have fun with. It's just a hard one for me. But what's interesting about The Sadness is they do have that element to it, but they do have this really dark like twist to it. Like when the guy saving somebody from
someone,
exactly,
and then he gets
right. So I won't give away any of that stuff, but it's like that's something I'm not. You know what? I think we like to have our violence balanced. So like if you're gonna see something violent, there needs to be a balance on the seesaw to it. Like some movies just are repetitive violence, especially I have to say against women a lot, and that I don't love so much.
Yeah.
I don't mind if it's violence, but it just there needs to be some balance. Like I need to earn my violence.
Oh, I have a technical question. Sorry, really, really quickly for you guys. What's your recipe for your blood? Because your blood in Hellbender is so good.
It's so
It's so good.
That's great. Oh my gosh. What a great question because it's so important to us, Toby.
Oh yeah, it's Hershey's chocolate syrup.
Oh.
A little strawberry syrup, Caro syrup, which is basically corn syrup, and that's about it.
And sometimes some chunky shit.
Yeah, sometimes we put in a little like powder or something to make it a little chunky.
A little chunky, but the reason we used to buy blood. Like you go to the Halloween store or whatever, and you'd buy a gallon of blood. But it always looked phony. It always looked
too red.
It was too red, and it was kind of like not quite opaque enough. But mostly, it tasted terrible. So we finally came up with something that we could actually even swallow, and it wouldn't taste terrible. And lastly, the nice thing about our blood is you can wipe it off; it doesn't stain. So sometimes you pour blood all over somebody, and it's a mistake, so you got to clean it up and do it again. Nice thing about our blood is you can clean it right up.
I saw a great film. I'm trying to find the name of it. Out of the Philippines. I loved this film. Sorry, I'm trying to find the name of it. I saw it at Stitches Film Festival. Kind of vampire-like. There's a woman, and she
Nocivo. Is that the one?
Yes.
I think
Chai.
Chai's our friend.
Oh, Chai is our friend. She's incredible.
Oh, it's so fantastic.
Is that the one
glad
with
you guys saw it.
Eva Green.
Eva Green.
Oh no, it's a different film. Different film.
yeah.
Different film. Yeah.
Eva Green's in the one you mentioned.
Yeah, Nocebo. Yeah.
Oh, that wouldn't be this one then. I'm still going to try to find it real fast.
Vampire. What was
I mean, it's more. It wasn't about a vampire.
There's Nocebo,
but she
right here.
turns into. Oh, that's not it. Okay. I'm trying to find the name. I'll think of it. I'll find it real fast if I can.
That's so cool that you've seen a Philippine film though.
I loved it. It really inspired me because I saw it at the Sitges Film Festival in 2018 or 19, and I just loved it. It was kind of like us. It was a film that that wasn't made with a big budget, but it was so creative and so beautifully done. I got to plug our computer real fast. Sorry.
Is it a Young Gao maybe?
I'll find it. Hang on a sec.
Okay.
We just ran down the hall to get our computer saying low battery.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because you were talking about the blood being easy to clean, I'm sure you had to do that in that scene where they were just vomiting on each other.
Yeah.
That was a one take Charlie. Because that one had so much blood, and it was winter actually when we filmed that. So we knew that was going to be a one take Charlie, and it was a one take Charlie. Thank God, because there was so much blood in that. And
that was a crazy scene. I was watching it like, oh.
Well, it's interesting shooting with blood in the wintertime because when you get the blood on you, you get really cold really fast. On our last movie, we were covered in blood once and realized, oh my God, when you're outside and it's wintertime and you have blood on you, as soon as it freezes, you're really cold. So we knew that was a one take. Yeah. That was a fun scene though. And people seem to really love that scene. I think people are either super repulsed or just super in love with it by that point, you know?
It was fun. Yeah. I really surprised Zelda because I put little rice things in it. She came really close to puking on me for real.
Yeah, she was like, she also didn't realize how much blood was going to hit her. So it was pretty funny. Like when you watch it, you can really see that reaction is genuine. Just like,
Oh, now I got to check it again.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
Yeah. So the film that you saw might have been Young Gao. I think that's YANGGAW. It's about a
Manananggal.
It's about a girl who goes back to the province because she's feeling sick, and that they don't realize that she's actually turning into a monster, and her family protects her from it.
That's a good film, actually. You saw that, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, we did.
Dodo Dayo's film when he came on our.
No, that's not
Mick.
Yeah.
You know what? I will find it and I'll write you because I don't want
We're
to.
super curious.
Yeah. well, we would love to recommend a few awesome Philippine horror films for you.
Yeah,
please, and I'll love that too.
Awesome. So before we close out, is there anything that you'd like to promote that's going to be coming up soon for the listeners?
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, our latest film, Where the Devil Roams. I guess we finally were ready to tackle the devil because this one, the devil is part of the mythology.
It's really fun. The devil's the puppeteer of all the characters in the movie, and so it's kind of like everybody's influenced by the devil who has an end game. But it's fun watching these characters intermix and get to a place at the end that's really twisted. But at the same side, really beautiful. It's like the most ugly, beautiful moment. Like we can't give it away, but this is a wild one. And it was just a wonderful experience because it was me, Toby, Zelda, and Lulu back together like we were from the very beginning. And
it takes place during the 1930s.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Depression era carnival set. And and we had a lot of fun with this. I mean, I have to say, I think we're all really in love with this film. It was a joy to make.
Yeah.
It feels it's just, I think we really stretched ourselves in many ways that we're very happy about stretching those muscles. And I can't wait to see what people think.
And it's got a wonderful mythology. Again, we had to invent a mythology to explain the rules of the film. So Toby came up with this really fun mythology that is very cohesive. And like we mentioned, the sadness before, Zelda and I had watched The Sadness, and we were kind of amazed at how well done the violence was. And we wanted to add that. We wanted to have some really great violence. And so we have some fun violence in this movie, but it's all super well earned. Like every single act of violence is balanced out by something super loving. So it's like, we just had just such a joyful time with this movie that we really hope that people out there enjoy it as much as we enjoyed making it.
I'm sure we will. At least you'll have 3 fans. You'll know it.
Absolutely.
Well, we can't wait for you to watch it. And
we can't wait either.
And I hope we can talk to you again then too.
We'd love
and then
that. We'd love that.
We have this other movie that we just shot, a monster movie called Hellhole. And we shot it in Serbia. And we partnered up with Shudder, and it is going to be a real badass monster movie. We had a wonderful artist named Todd Masters, who's this great monster builder from, who's very well known, very well known, who built our monster for us. And he was wonderful to work with. And we're also teamed up again with our great effects guy, Trey Lindsay, who always is phenomenal. So those are our 2 that we're really excited about.
Cannot wait for both.
Yeah.
And also, we're going to take you up on coming back, by the way.
Oh,
yeah. So, we cannot wait for that either. Aaron?
Well, fun.
You ask wonderful questions, and it's just a pleasure talking.
Thank you so much.
Super. We're very happy. Thanks so much for coming on our podcast. You guys have been great.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully next time we can come to you so that you don't have to stay up till 1 a.m. How about that?
Well, Big Baby Studios will be open for that, for sure. So, are there any social media platforms we can follow you on and have the listeners follow you on as well?
Yeah, Instagram is adams.family.films. Twitter is adams_films. And then our website is wonderwheelproductions.com, which has all our films on it.
Wow, awesome. All right, so thank you so much. We were so excited to have you here, and now we're just so happy that we got to talk to you.
We're going to keep talking about you guys even
I
later.
know. It's such an open conversation. It was so fun to have you. Thank you so much.
For the record, I just want to say that when we started this podcast, this is exactly what we were hoping for. So yeah, this is really it. We've been operating for 2 years, and this is like a dream come true, honestly, for us.
Well, beautiful. Let's definitely do this again, because I can't wait to hear your thoughts on Where the Devil Roams, because you guys will take it apart in a really fun way. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day, you guys.
And to the listeners, thank you so much for listening to this episode. We hope you enjoyed as much as we did. And once again, please join our Facebook group at Dead Air, and like our Facebook page, Dead Air, a horror podcast. And again, you can message our Instagram at Dead Air Pod, because Chris will reply to you right away. So thanks, everyone, and we hope you have a great day ahead.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Brought to you by Big Baby Studios.